Welcome to Connecting You, the podcast where we explore the journey of connecting to God, yourself, and others. I'm your host, Mayra Richards, founder of Remain Connected Counseling. And joining me is our marketing director, Emily Robinson. At Connecting You, we believe that each one of us is in a unique journey, seeking connection and belonging in a world that often feels disconnected. So, wherever you are in your journey, we invite you to join us as we explore what it means to remain connected to God, to yourself, and to others. Welcome to Connecting You, where you belong. Hi friends, it's an honor that you're listening to today's episode of Connecting You. Today we are connecting you to healthy relationships. What I've seen in the counseling arena is that just because you do better than your parents' relationship did, doesn't mean that that's still a healthy relationship, and I think a lot of people fall into that. Usually what people say is that trust, love, and safety is what a healthy relationship is, but people rarely know what that actually means. And so we want to go a little bit deeper into how can you get that love, how can you get that trust and that safety in relationships.
Yes, or feeling comfortable with it as well. I think when people are sometimes presented with like a healthy love or a safe, trusting relationship, they don't feel comfortable or they reject it, and they think like that either internally that they're unworthy or just that it feels less exciting or less like what they're used to, like the highs and lows of an unhealthy relationship.
Yeah.
Especially as you're younger, I think in like teen years, early 20s, people often seek like a level of excitement or a level of, in the movie or in the book it's supposed to have this like exciting period where I'm tense all the time, but really it doesn't have to be, or it shouldn't be for a long-term relationship.
No, I actually think it was funny. Gavin and I were married probably for a few months, and another couple that was newly married asked us like, "Hey, how's marriage?" And we're saying boring. We do the same thing every day. Not that they're not exciting things, but it's not like a fighting. We're not fighting. We're not going through that roller coaster of emotions. I think that you're right. It's more of a steady, like something's happened and it will rise up a little bit, but it's not like this turmoil of.
It's not supposed to look like a heartbeat on the screen.
Yeah, that's too much.
It's like flatline. But okay,
yeah,
so
not flatline, not a heartbeat like crazy, more in the middle.
So within those healthy relationships, I think you told me earlier that having fun is something that is important, and how do we do that?
I think when people have fun, that they allow themselves to be fully themselves, whether that's goofy or maybe having fun for you means going on a hike or going to a comedy show or something, but you're truly relaxed in order to laugh at something, in order to enjoy something. There's a level of vulnerability that goes up when you're engaging in fun activities.
You were talking about this earlier, the difference between anxiety and excitement. So I think people having fun can be, in a sort of a twisted way, like the highs and lows that we were talking about of like a crazy relationship, like, I'm having so much fun, I'm not bored. But how do we have fun in the sense of actual compatibility and safety?
I think, in unhealthy relationships, the fun will usually, again, be so intensified. So, like, we're having fun because we're always going on roller coaster dates, as opposed to like, hey, we're home and we're playing cards and it's pretty
fun.
It's pretty fun, but it's mild,
Yeah.
But you're still able, that ability to be funny with each other and let go of your guard.
Having fun, not doing anything. Because as you said, the roller coaster date, if somebody is taking you on an extravagant dinner, if he's taking you on vacation, all of that is fun. But
well, it's not life. Right? It's like you're like The Bachelor.
They're having fun.
They're having fun. They're kind of fun, but it's not life, and a lot of those relationships end up falling apart because they hit real life. In real life, it's when you have fun simply by dancing around the kitchen, which doesn't compare to like going to Paris, but if that's what you're used to, then your expectations are really thrown off.
Mhm. So in that real life, one of the questions we had is healthy communication, and how would you say we can teach people what's the right kind of communication?
You have to learn how to respond to someone instead of reacting to someone. We usually, when you start talking about something with your partner, with a friend, with your mom, with anybody, I think that we come at it from the perspective of, hey, I'm going to try for this person to see my point of view, and I'm going to try for this person to fully understand what I'm feeling. Or honestly, like, I'm just going to I want to change her point of view towards whatever topic you're talking about. And that it already feels controlling. If you're trying to change their point of view, if you're trying to make them fully understand, no one can fully understand you. Today I saw a couple, and the lady goes, well, I want him to fully understand. And I said, well, he's not going to fully understand you because he's not you. He's like, well, maybe if it happened to him. And I'm like, even if it happens to him, he's a different person with with different experiences. And so there's this desire, but if I can just say it louder or say it faster or say it again, the over explaining of, I'm just going to say it again and say it again and say it again, and maybe my spouse or...
And then people think that you're nagging them.
Yes. Because what you're really trying to say is like, hey, I don't feel connected and I don't feel understood. They can't do that. They will never fully understand you. They can maybe 70% understand, but not fully, because they're not you.
So what is the goal?
The goal is connection.
Okay.
The goal is that you feel heard. And then by feeling heard, you feel connected.
So as the receiving partner in the conversation, how do we make them feel heard even if we don't fully understand?
Well, one, you cannot make anybody feel anything. You start by saying things like repeating what that person has said, empathizing with what that person has said, and validating what that person has said.
So I'm kind of hearing that the conversation needs to be more about the feeling and not the situation.
Yeah, it's hardly ever about the situation.
So how does that often look with like marriage and relationships?
Some of my clients have heard this already, but I try to keep our countertop completely empty of things. I have kids. It hasn't happened yet, but most of the time when I clean, it's like completely like blank. It's a white granite countertop, and I'm like, yes, if I can look at it and it's completely has nothing on it, then it makes me feel so happy. And Gavin would come in, and he puts the water bottle on the counter, and I would move it, and he would put it back in the counter, and I would move it again, to the point that I got so passive aggressive that I was like, I'm just going to hide this water bottle because he's not hearing me. He's not understanding that I do not want this on my countertop. First of all, I'm saying on my countertop.
Yeah, which is both of your countertop. But you never told him that you like the countertop clean?
Oh, I did.
Okay.
But
so
he's human.
Know. Yeah.
So he forgets.
Okay.
And so finally we had this conversation of like, what is going on, because I feel so unheard, like you're not listening to me, I tell you what I want, and just because somebody hears you doesn't mean that they have to do what you want them to do. And so finally we were going through our communication tools that we learned from Focus in the Family, and part of that was saying to him, asking him, like, what is this really about? And asking myself, what is this really, really about? Like, Mayra, why do you want your countertops to be
so clean?
So clean. I asked myself that question several times. I went to the Lord. I was like, what is going on? Like, I just cannot believe that I'm getting so angry about this water bottle. Like, this isn't a make it or break it kind of deal, And for me, it turned out like I feel disrespected because I work so hard in getting the house tidy that I feel disrespected when somebody just comes and puts this water bottle on the counter.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, well, that sounds a little bit extreme. You know, it's not like I didn't feel appreciated. I just felt like I wasn't thought of. I know Gavin thanks me all the time for different things that I do, but he wasn't thinking about me. I felt unthought of, if that's even a word. Probably not, but it's like, when did it go back, right? So I'm one of 3. I love my sisters. They're both very loud.
Big personality.
Big personality. And I'm not. And so my voice was hardly ever heard. Because that makes sense. I mean, both of them have big personalities, and then there's little shy me who comes, you know, and I
like
wanted,
an afterthought.
yes, and I wanted that with a water bottle. I wanted to receive that, like, hey, he's thinking about me.
Yeah.
For Gavin,
because you value it.
Yes, I value that because I didn't have it as much.
Right.
For Gavin, he's one of 6. He's the third of 6 kids. He shared rooms. At one point, he had his own room, but it was still, everything had to be shared. A lot of things had to be shared. Very few things were of his own, and he felt that he has never gone to take up space. And he wanted, and he was like,
the water bottle on the counter.
Well, he was like, this is my home too. I want to take up space. And what you're telling me to move it, it's like, you don't deserve it. You don't deserve to take up space.
Both of those are very deep with the water bottle.
Most things are.
Wow.
Yeah. And so at the end of it, I was like, oh my gosh, like, I am so sorry. Yeah. And he apologized too. And you don't have to apologize. And we connected.
You feel like you want to apologize.
Yes. And so we connected in that. And I was like, okay, what can we do? And, you know, it was like, we did another tool from the intensives that I do. And now, honestly, because we have connected, because I know that he wants to take up space, because I want him to take up space, he tries really hard not to, but he still does it sometimes. And now I just simply move it. I don't care. Yeah. I'm like, okay, well, I'm just going to move it to this corner.
What I'm hearing is that, like, in your marriage, the water bottle thing, you were using resources that maybe people don't know about. So how did you become so self-aware, and how did you place such an emphasis on self-development at this age? I mean, you've been through counseling, you are a counselor, you're still continually using self-development tools.
Yes.
So
I've been in counseling since I was 20. I think I told you last time that we were together that my sister actually paid, my middle sister Crystal actually paid for my counseling, which is very kind because she was working at a Disney store. So I've been, 15 years of counseling. Plus, when Gavin and I met, I had gone through really several bad relationships and I was in counseling school. So within 2 or 3 months, I think we took the Prepare Enrich assessment, which is like a compatibility assessment.
Interesting. Very clinical.
And this is how great Gavin is, that he's just like, okay, we'll do it. I did that. We went on a retreat. There are churches that have retreats. I just love to develop. That's just always been a part of who I am. I look at things where things are lacking in my ability to just be like, hey, that's what's lacking and that's where it needs to grow. I think that people get very comfortable in saying, like, the Enneagram or the Myers-Briggs or any assessment like that. They get very comfortable in being like, well, I am an introvert,
so it can't change or grow.
So I can't change or, well, I am 65.
Yeah. A lot of older people think that.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, I'm just set in my ways now. I don't need to learn anything new, or this is what I've been doing this whole time.
Just because you've been doing something for a while doesn't mean that it's the right thing to do.
It just means that that's what you've been doing. So what does that look like in marriage, that self-development?
That means like going on retreats together, whether that's faith-based or, intensive, a counseling intensive with your partner, that looks like having some moments, if you don't want to spend a lot of money, just having some moments together where you're like, okay, what do we value for this year? What are our top priorities? How do we want to grow spiritually, mentally, physically? Where are we? That individually we want to do it separately, but also when we come together, it's kind of like a car, right? Like, it has four tires, and if one tire is not doing really well, then the car's not really going to run really well. Mm-hmm. And so realizing, one of the questions that I like to ask Gavin is, like, on a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being the best that we've ever been, 0 being the lowest that we've ever been, where do you think we're at? Mm-hmm. And it's funny because one time he was like, oh, we're at a 9. I was like, I think we're at a 4. But yeah. Then you talk about what he's more positive. You can see that something's off, and then at all times when he was studying for his test, I was actually like, well, I expected this, so I'm at a 7, and he's like, I'm at a 2, And
he was also struggling with his own things.
Yeah.
When you're struggling with your own things, it doesn't have to be a reflection of the marriage.
Right.
But that's just where you are.
Yeah. And then recently, he got done with his test. He's passed his test. It's the most relieving we've ever felt. But we actually looked at each other and we were like, I feel disconnected. And he was like, me too. So we felt disconnected. It was good that we both could be on the same page, probably for the first time. Yeah. But it felt good that we were both like, okay, now what are we going to do, right? Like, do we need to go to counseling? Do we need a date night? Because we haven't gone on a true date night in a while.
You went right back to searching for the connection. You didn't just leave it.
Yeah. It wasn't just like, well, here's where we're at. I think you can, that is the one thing that someone once told me. It's like, or taught me, if you're not going towards connection, that means that you're going away from it.
It's like parallel lines, right? If they don't ever start to, like, go towards each other, they're going to go on forever, like, right beside each other, but not together.
Yeah.
Is there ever a point where it gets to be too connected in the sense that
too enmeshed?
Like, we only hang out with each other, we don't have friends, But is there anything wrong with your world slowly becoming like that dyadic relationship, and like what are the signs that it is turning into that?
For your first question, I don't think that anyone has to be a counselor to answer that question.
Okay.
Yes, you are an individual. You were created as you.
But people do it. I think the people in that might not see anything wrong with it.
Usually I would say it has to do with identity and making their identity the other person. As if they leave to go to coffee, or if they leave to go anywhere else, they just get so insecure that they're not the only person that they want to spend their time with. And that is out of their own insecurity, their own self-identity of not knowing that they're worth it, that they're not knowing that they are not going to be abandoned, or that he or she can go anywhere, and that doesn't mean that they're going to look at somebody else.
So it's almost like the thing that regulates you emotionally has become external.
It has become your partner.
The other person.
Mm-hmm. Okay, friends, thank you for listening today. I wanted to end every podcast with a word of encouragement and a small prayer just to get us through the day. And this is from, obviously, the Bible. And it says, therefore, encourage one another and build one another up, just as you are doing. I want to pray that over you, that you learn and encourage one another and comfort one another and build each other up. We never know what the other person next to us is going through. So Jesus, we just thank you that we have people around us who are supportive, and if we don't, we ask that they come into our lives and that we will learn how to live in community well. I pray for relationships, God, that you will strengthen them. I pray for communication skills to be learned and built, and for marriages, that even if they've been married for 30, 50 years, Lord, that they will know that there is hope And there's always time to learn. God, we thank you that you are God, that you are sovereign over all things. And we love you so much. Bless our relationships and please lead us into healthy ones. In Jesus' name, I pray. Amen. As we wrap up today's episode, we are grateful you join us to explore what it means to remain connected to God, to yourself, and to others. To stay updated on future episodes, be sure to hit that subscribe button and connect with us on Instagram and Facebook at Remain Connected. Counseling appointments can be made at RemainConnectedLLC.com. Your support means the world to us. Until next time, may you find peace in your connections and blessings in every step of your journey. Have a blessed day.